right? I assume it's a bunch of couples, right? So there's two people, man and a woman, they're sitting at the table right here, right? So I asked the question, like, how many of y'all are in love, right? So his hand goes up. Her hand didn't. And I have this thing where I react to stuff out loud. And I was like, oh shit. And I was like, so then he looked at her and was like, and she was like, oh, I don't, I'm like, fuck, man. Like, I don't know how they're doing now. Like, I hope that they're okay. I don't know though, you know? I still think about them. Like, it's crazy. It was like 2 years ago. I like to believe that that was the moment that they realized that they weren't with the right person and then found the right person and they're both happy. Like, that helps me sleep. So, love poem. Here we go. This is it's like a love poem medley kind of thing. So, here we go. First part of this poem is called To the Girl Who Works at Starbucks down the street from my house on Delmar Heights Road. Swear to God, I'm not a stalker. That's the title. When I asked you for a chai latte, what I meant to say was, I was walking past, I saw you in the window. To be honest, I only came in here because I had to know what your voice sounded like. Instead of saying that, I got really nervous and I just ordered the first thing on the menu. I don't even know what chai is, or a latte for that matter. I imagine that when God made you, I bet he cussed for the first time. I bet he turned to an angel, gave him a high five and said, God damn, I'm good. Or me damn, I'm good, because he's like, God, you know. I spent the last 5 days trying to figure out how I'm going to introduce myself to you properly. I finally figured out it's going to be something like, hi. That's all I got so far. But I do think that it's a good start. Part 2. I'm going to be honest, it's not often that I find myself eager to write about love. In fact, every time I try to write about love, my hands cramp, just to show me how painful love can be. Sometimes my pencils break just to prove to me that every now and then love takes a little more work than you planned. I heard that love is blind, so I write all my poems in Braille. And my poems are never actually finished because true love is endless. I've always believed that real love is kind of like a supermodel before she's airbrushed. It's pure and imperfect, just the way that God intended. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not much of a love poet. But if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide that I was gonna write about love, my first poem would be about you. About how I love you the same way I learned how to ride a bike. Scared, but reckless, with no training wheels or elbow pads so my scars can tell the story of how I fell for you. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not much of a love poet, but if I was, I'd write about how I see your face in every cloud and reflection in every window. You see, I've written a million poems, hoping that somehow, maybe some way you'll jump out of the page and be closer to me. See, I'm not much of a love poet, but if I was, I'd write about how you have the audacity to be beautiful, even on days when everything around you is ugly. I'd write about your eyelashes and how they're like violin strings that play symphonies every time you blink. If I was a love poet, I'd write about how I melt in front of you like an ice sculpture every time I hear the vibration in your voice, and whenever I see your name on the caller ID, my heart plays hopscotch inside of my chest. It climbs onto my ribs like monkey bars, and I feel like a child all over again. I know it's gonna sound weird, but sometimes I pray that God somehow turns you back into one of my ribs just so I would never have to spend an entire day without you. And I swear, I'm usually not a love poet, but if I was to wake up tomorrow morning and decide that I was gonna write about love, my first poem, it would be about you. And after all of that, she was like, but how do you feel about it? And I said, well, put it like this. I want to be your ex-boyfriend's stuntman. I want to do everything he never had the courage to do. Like trust you. I swear, when our lips touch, I can taste the next 60 years of my life. See, last night I had a dream. In this particular dream, I died in my dreams, awoke not knowing I was still sleeping, decided to walk. See, that night I walked in my sleep, I slept in my walk, I walked backwards until I saw you for the first time, and I could barely muster the courage to introduce myself all over again. You see, I've been trying to find the right words, I've been trying to take the right steps for what seems to me like thousands of years, but something always seems to go wrong between us. We lived in Egypt, I was the Pharaoh's slave, you were his daughter, loving you led to my death. They claimed I seduced you, and after they stole my life, I was resurrected as a mason. I made the foundation for your house. We met eyes for 2 seconds. You left and I didn't see you again until I died. I came back as a caterpillar. I turned into a butterfly. I landed in the palm of your hands. You brushed me away and the rejection killed me. When I woke, I was a kick drum. You were a snare. We were both owned by this drummer named Cozy Cole, and when he died, so did we, but I came back just to look for you. I left notes in random places hoping that you would stumble across them. I carved our names in trees and then prayed that it would jog your memory. I whispered your name in the wind, hoping somehow, maybe some way my voice would reach you, but it didn't, and I died early, I died young, with breadcrumbs in my hand, just hoping that you would find me, but you never did, so they buried me. When they buried me, they put these coins over my eyes, and I used them as bus fare to get back to earth just so I could look for you. That's why sometimes when we hold hands, every so often I hold on a little too tight, and I'm sorry. I just don't want to lose you again. My mother told me, when you find the perfect woman, you got to do whatever it takes to make sure that she wants to stay next to you. But my grandmother believes. She believes that the average girl begins to plan her wedding at the age of 7. She says they pick the colors and the cake first. By the age of 10, she knows the time and the location. By 17, she's already chosen a gown, animated of honor. By 22, she's waiting for somebody who doesn't break out in hives when they hear the word commitment. Someone who doesn't smell like a Band-Aid drenched and lonely. Someone who is more than a temporary solution to the empty side of the bed. Someone who will hold her hand like it's the only one that they've ever seen. To be honest, I don't know what tuxedo I'll be wearing. I have no clue what my wedding will look like. But I imagine the woman who pins my last name to hers will butterfly down the aisle like a 5-foot promise. I imagine that her smile will be so big that you will see it on Google Maps, so you will know exactly where our wedding is being held. The woman that I plan to marry, she will have champagne in her walk, and I will get drunk on her footsteps. When the pastor asks me if I take this woman to be my wife, I'll say yes before he even finishes the sentence. I'll apologize later for being impolite, but I'll also explain to him that our first kiss happened 6 years ago, and I've been practicing my yes for the past 2,165 days. When people ask me about my wedding, I never really know what to say. When they ask me about my future wife, I always tell them that her smile is the only Christmas lights that deserve to be seen all year long. I tell them that if I could, I would shapeshift into the first thing she thinks about in the morning just to make sure that no matter where I am in the world, I will always wake up next to her. I tell them she has a walk that can make an atheist believe in God just long enough to say, God damn, I tell them that if my alarm clock sounded like her voice, my snooze button would collect dust. That if she came in a bottle, I would drink her until my vision is blurry and my friends take away my keys. I tell them that if she was a book, I would read her table of contents. I would memorize her table of contents. I would read her cover to cover, hoping to find typos just so we can both have something to work on, because aren't we all unfinished? Don't we all need a little editing? Aren't we all waiting to be read by someone praying they will tell us that we make sense? She don't always make sense. But her imperfections are the things I love about her the most. I don't know when I'll be married. I don't know where I'll be married, but I do know this. Whenever I'm asked to describe my future wife, I do so as best as I can. And every single time, she sounds a lot like you. Thank you.